Hello guys and welcome to another British Droid Ops video, and today we'll be reviewing tanks within Wargame Red Dragon. So today we'll be reviewing the Challenger 2 main battle tank for the United Kingdom. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go through pretty much all the NATO tanks, and obviously maybe Red 4 if you guys want that, but primarily NATO and obviously United Kingdom. So we're going to start off, obviously we kind of start off with Challenger 2, we'll work our way down backwards Challenger 1, because obviously you guys want to see like the best, obviously who's got the best tanks, and kind of get a description and review of each and other tank. So we'll start off with the top ones and work our way back to Challenger 1, Achievement and stuff like that. So first we're going to go over a bit of history of the tank, then we'll go over the weapon specifications and how it fights and how effective it is against other opponents, such as obviously the T-90s, the M1 Abrams tanks, and also the Leopards, to see how well this tank is on the Wargame Red Dragon playing field. So first things first guys, obviously this is a Challenger 2 of the United Kingdom. Obviously, I believe it was manufactured and first made in 1995. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what I believe it is. It's just kind of bland, I'm just sitting on beliefs here. But that's what I believe it was first manufactured in 1995, obviously by the Kingdom. So it's a great tank. Obviously, the reason why we manufactured it and the reason why it was made is obviously Britain is the main battle tank, and the Challenger 1, the Challenger tank beforehand was a Challenger 1. Obviously it wasn't as good as obviously we needed a new main battle tank, so that's why we kind of developed and worked our ways towards making a Challenger 2. And obviously this tank looks beast, and obviously its effectiveness, which we'll go over more detail later, and how effective it is on the battlefield. So the main people who use this tank is obviously United Kingdom, because it's obviously our development, it's our tank. Mainly primarily used by the Royal Armour Corps, the British Army. So you've got the Royal Armour Corps, so within that you've got the Royal Tank Regiment, I think the Royal Dragon Guards, and you've got quite a few other tank regiments that use this, which is which I obviously believe I saw as well, is that the Royal Army of Oman have a few of these as well. I believe maybe the British Army sold, I think, about 33 of roughly about 30 of these tanks. Challenger 2s were sent or delivered to the Royal Army of Oman to use as well. So this tank isn't just used by the United Kingdom, which I thought only the UK uses them, but surprisingly the Royal Army of Oman use them as well, which is pretty cool. So the operations of where this tank's fought, really, it's quite an early tank, so it hasn't been in many operations or conflicts. But the primary places it's been is Iraq and Afghanistan. Operation Iraq, obviously Operation Iraqi Freedom, which is a mass operation with the British and the American and other coalition forces, obviously fighting, I can't remember his name now, I think Saddam Hussein, whatever it is, how you ever pronounce it, but obviously fighting in Iraq against, I believe the British they were tasked to take over Basra whilst one of the capital cities in Iraq, while the Americans went for another capital city. So there's been a lot of stories of the Challenger 2 tank, which is fantastic, and I think it went up against 14 T-55s and didn't lose any tanks. I don't think we've ever lost any Challenger 2 tanks in any conflicts. Obviously, like I said before, it's quite an early tank, so hasn't been in many, but still, while it's been out there, its combat effectiveness has shown that this tank can hold its own, and that we haven't lost any. I believe the closest we ever lost to losing one was obviously in Operation Iraqi Freedom, when I'll try and get linked to the video so you guys can kind of watch it yourselves and get a bit of feast your eyes on a bit of documentary if you're into that sort of stuff. I believe his tank was obviously a routine operation, or however it was. One tank was singled out by Iraqi rebels, and I think they took out all the optics of the Challenger 2, such as like the Challenger. You see up there where I put the marker now, where that's basically the commander's sight, you've got the gunner's sight and stuff like that, and different points here they aim for them, which is basically most tanks' weak points would most primarily be their optics, because obviously that's their eyes. If you can't see, how are you supposed to be combat effective? So the Iraqi rebels effectively took out the weapons fighting capability and made it just a sitting duck, really. I believe it took on 8 RPGs and 2 anti-tank rounds, but yet the tank withheld, and obviously backup arrived, cleared the area, and then they had to start a 10-hour operation to pull the tank out of the battlefield and obviously take it to repairs. But even still, it never got destroyed, just lost its optics, had to get back bugged out to get repaired. So it shows that this armour is a massive effective combat fighting machine. So it is a beastly looking tank, and obviously like I said, like the amount of hits it took, 8 RPGs and 2 anti-tank rounds, you would probably think it'd be one. Most tanks can barely take on about 3 primarily, but now these modern day tanks, such as obviously the Challenger 2, which we'll look at now, their armour is ridiculous. Especially, I think there's classified information of the armour's called like Trob armour, something like that. On this tank, obviously, of thick layers of classified materials and stuff like that, and all armour, so pretty cool stuff. Obviously, all that classified information to the armed forces, but this tank is one of the, obviously, personally, my personal opinion, and obviously people I've spoken to and seen videos, this is probably one of the top tanks in the world, probably, just the pure factor. We'll go on the specifications and how it kind of stands in the leaderboard with Wargame Red Dragon and obviously other tanks and how effective it is, but it is one of those big bad boys of the tanking world, and it can hold its own. It's just an effective beast. Okay guys, now I've bored you with that history of the tank and how it was made and how it got to the service of the British Army. We're going to go a bit of some of the specifications of this Challenger 2 compared to the other tanks in game. So we'll start off with the cost of deployment of this vehicle. It costs 170 points, which is quite a massive amount of cash to spend out on a ground unit, but we'll go over it why it costs so much. And obviously it is one of the best tanks in Wargame Red Dragon, and it will pack a massive punch in the ground force, because obviously it takes quite a while to get 170 cost depending on the game you're in, but it is a worthy vehicle to buy. So we'll start off with the main gun or the turret. So basically it's 120mm rounds, which is basic default for most of the tanks around the world, such as the Abrams and Leopard and stuff like that. The range is 2,275 meters, which is pretty much the same with every tank in the game anyway, or the main battle tanks. I think there may be a few that might have a little bit longer range, maybe 2,300, but so that's a bit of a problem there. Some tanks, maybe, I think it's maybe T9, I don't know, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll try and look for you guys. But there's a tank out there I think it has a little bit longer range than the more normal MBTs. So kind of decrease a little bit there, but majority of tanks on the battlefield are going to come across are going to have 2,275 millimeters range. So you're most likely not going to come across any sort of tanks with that sort of problem, which is okay, I guess. So the turret itself, or the gun, however you want to call it, the gun on the Challenger 2 is basically longer than the Abrams, but it's the same as a Leopard, I believe, as well, because obviously you see the length of it is quite long. So let's just try and compare it to the Abrams. So if you look at the Abrams there, the Abrams is quite, it's not a massive difference, but you can kind of just see a little bit of a difference, a little bit more of a length, maybe about 10 meters or so. Not too big, but it has got a bit of that's the Challenger 1, but Challenger 2 have the exactly same, more or less. So you can see that a bit of length. What that basically does is, the longer the gun is on the turret, the longer it is, the more time that shell is going to be inside the turret travelling. So basically, once you pull the trigger, that turret, the shell is going to basically spin within the turret. Basically, what that does is, the longer it is, the more energy it's going to build up, the more powerful that round's going to be. And also, the Challenger 2 is a rifled gun. I don't think any other country's done that tank. Out of NATO, I don't believe, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a rifled tank, a rifled gun, shall I say, which also means it's more accurate. So basically, you can't see in game, but it's basically some holes for the gas to be released, and it makes it more accurate. Obviously, being a longer turret and rifled makes it powerful as well as accurate, which kind of makes it stand out compared to other tanks, which is absolutely fantastic. So you see that actually is 70%. Let's just compare it to the American and Leopard, shall we? So 70%, same for the Abrams, which is basically, so all of them are 70%. So that's pretty cool. So basically, you're not going to have a big difference between NATO vehicles, but there's a high accurate weapon system on top. The AP power is 22, the high explosive power is 4, and stabilizer 65%, which basically stabilizes and more of a chance to hit the target, which it says there. So if you guys are wondering, like, obviously which tank to get and how I'm going to hit it and stuff like that, this tank has an AP power of 22. So you're probably wondering, what does that mean? So basically, the way you connect the dots is, the power of this is 22. I can penetrate 22 armor. So if a Challenger 2 is against a Challenger 2, and it fired, so if I fired my gun here against another Challenger 2, on the front armor, and hit it, it wouldn't penetrate, it wouldn't completely destroy the armor, because there's 22 power, 23 armor. let's just have a look at the American and German. So the front armor of the Abrams, their top one, is 22. So basically, that Challenger 2, if went up against the Abrams, would penetrate its front armor. Let's look at the Germans. Leopard 2A5, same again, 22 frontal armor. So basically what that means is that this Challenger 2 has a very powerful weapon and has the best frontal armor. I don't think there's any tank in the game that has 23 frontal armor that I've personally seen, which is absolutely fantastic, which basically puts this tank at the top of the list of the heaviest armor in the game of all tanks, which is absolutely fantastic. It's what you want. So with the armor as well, you've got the left hand side is 11, the rear is 6, and the top is 4, which meaning your best bet with this tank would probably be sitting in a fixed position or assaulting a position where you know where tanks are. If you're going to get shot from the sides, you're just going to get wrecked. So the best thing in this tank is for defending and assaulting positions with the known of where the enemy tanks are, which is great. Let's just have a look at tanks. See, look, the side armor on the Abrams and the Leopard isn't as good as the Challenger 2. So basically that puts the Challenger 2 right up there. The armor's brilliant and the turret's brilliant. Obviously, it's just basically it comes with a package. Obviously, you want a good tank with good armor and a good weapon, gun, which it has that, which is fantastic. Also, the gun has got a pretty good a suppression rate. A rate of fire is 9 rounds per minute. I think that's pretty average as well. Yeah, pretty much most of the tanks get about 9 rounds per minute. Let's just look at Leopard 5. Yeah, around 9 rounds per minute, which is pretty good. So you're going to get quite extensive rounds down at the target, and you're going to pretty much neutralise quite a lot of threats. So, moving on from the gun now, we're going to the secondary weapon it has is the L37 or the Mini-Me, not Mini-Me, the GPMG, which obviously wasn't made there, but it's now called a GPMG, they're called General Purpose Machine Guns. But L37, not the best weapon system really, 875 meters and 525 compared to like the Abrams. It's got a bit better stuff, but other than that, it's effective. At least it's got that sort of capability to take out and neutralise infantry, which is good. Obviously, if you got that high explosive power, which they can pop off with some guys in the ground, which is pretty cool. So as well, you got a good, okay looking weapon machine gun on top of the tank, as well as a good high explosive power to take out infantry if you need to, which it does happen. You know, you do get some guys who run across fucking kamikaze straight towards your tank, get people out with you assaulting towns and amphibia sort of attacks, which is fighting built up areas, which obviously may happen. So moving on from that, so you've got a good weapon system and you've got a good gun, so that means his weapon is effective. So the strength is full on 10. It's a big tank. The optics are okay really. But the speed, I believe it's the fastest tank as well, because of the tracks, the way it's built. I can't remember what it's called. It's got a Rolls-Royce engine, I know that for a fact. And there's something wrong with the stabilisers, the suspension of the vehicle. It makes it faster than most others. Let's just have a look, compare it, like we always do, just to see. So yeah, oh no he's not. Abrams obviously got better mobility. I think the Germans have about the same. Yeah. So basically that puts us down a little bit there. But even still, you're kind of... basically, you're giving in mobility to have great armor and a better cannon, which is what you want. So this tank overall is king in armor in the entire game and has a fantastic cannon, which obviously you can see the AP power is 22, so it pretty much can penetrate any tank and it can stop any rounds coming towards it. So it is a very effective tank. If you put this tank with a little platoon of, let's say, 2 Challenger tanks with, I don't know, a few Challenger 1s or Chieftains, you're going to win, because most likely you've got defence on left and right side of your tank, you have to thanks the formidable force with the front. So, a few little things you obviously saying about the Challenger 1 and Challenger 2. You can see the difference between the Challenger 1 and Challenger 2 there. There's quite a big difference extensively, to be fair. But they're pretty awesome looking tanks. I would just say get it just because it looks beautiful. It is a fantastic looking tank, it looks nice, and obviously the capabilities stand up. So that's kind of a little bit of review of it. See if we can get a little bit of viewing game. But this tank is fantastic. It is the best, I'll probably personally say, probably the best tank in game because of its armour and because of its cannon. So if you're going to get a tank, get this bad boy. Okay guys, we're in game and we got a little setup here. Basically a defence sort of test, more or less, of the Challenger 2s. So what we've done is we've got 2 Challenger 2s in this sort of dense wood line here. And over here on the other side of this bridge, actually coming now, is the T80Us. Okay? So let's just kind of just watch this going down. So basically we've got two T80Ws, and we've got our sort of defense position over there. You can see, look, where there's one down already. Boom. See, the defense position of these tanks are absolutely fantastic. Let me just get the armor up this thing. Look, of our British Challenger tanks, we've only lost. To be fair, there's a fixed position. Look how much armor we've lost compared to these. These tanks are much more mobile, much more better equipped than the Challenger 2s itself. So if you look over here now, obviously the armor of the Challenger 2s is obviously, we have been damaged on the right hand side. Reason being for that is because the T80Ws is fixed with obviously the turret, and also is equipped with a anti-tank launcher in it, and costs 10 points more. And in a fixed position, the Challenger 2s did pretty well. I wouldn't say the amazing job, but they did the job. They held off the two of the best tanks in the Soviet side. And they ram each other now. We go a bit of beef. So, that's just how mobile these tanks are. Okay, guys, we now got another scenario here. This is actually in game when a multiplayer battle. You can see we've got the Challenger 2, and over there we've got some Challenger 1s, Mark 3s. So there's two Challenger 1s and a Challenger 2. Basically, we're moving on to a position here. We're trying to advance up on the line to try and hold a defensive position, which we need to hold. And I'm going to quickly give you a scenario of just how well this tank can obviously fight against basically an outnumbered force, and how much it can take. In this game, this Challenger 2 tank took so much damage, I was just so impressed. It was just keeping getting shot by shots and shots, and it still sustained damage, still sustained its health, but finally did get killed, but I'll show you how that happens in a minute. Right, as you can see there, the tank has took a massive blow from an artillery or bomb piece. So what I then realised is that this tank's come under heavy fire. That's from the top as well. A massive bomb just dropped on my head, and my armour, there we go again, there's number 2. I've got artillery and I've got bombs dropping down on me, so that's artillery finals on me now. My health, let me just slow this down for you guys so you can see. My health only lost 2 bars. That was 2 huge bombs which you just saw drop on this Challenger 2's head, and he's still just crawling away like, right, let's bug out. So what I decided to do, I pull my tank away and kind of rearm, get some support and bring it back up again, and so obviously I don't want to lose it. So you see how much damage this thing actually takes, how much abuse it counters on. It's just way back. Just as nice and calm, pulling away. And I get into a nice fixed position there. And I rearm. You'll see how much abuse. It's already taken 2 massive shots from the top, and it's still surviving. Now wait for the artillery barrage to finish, and I think they come forward again in a minute and have another pop at it. Right, here we are again. So now the artillery's pulled away. I've lost a few men at the front. Challenger 2's just sitting there. Haven't rearmed it. Still low health, as you can see down the bottom there. Still got 2 armors, 2 bars. So now I get helicopters on me now. 1 shot. That's 1, 2. Then I'm getting a barrage of shots. Now we're down at half health, right? Here we go again. Another engagement. No damage taken. Actually, there's 1 bar. Another damage, another bar down. That's 4. That's 4 shots now. 4. I think that's 5. Here we go, number 5. That's 5 hits. We're still standing on 5 hits. 6, still there. That's 6 anti-tank rockets taken, engaged at its target. Here we go. 7. 7 anti-tank rockets, propelled grenades, and 2 bombardments took to take out that Challenger 2. That is effective, and then my Chinook came in now, a little bit too late. See, that's how much it took. Unfortunately for me, my reinforcements took quite a while to back me up. If I had my Challenger marksmans there, I would have solved that problem. But it shows you that that Challenger 2's armour is going to hold for a while. Right, guys, here's another little scenario here we got here. Well, my Challenger 2 is just set up in formation. Same game again. Coming to support my AA, which is getting absolutely wrecked by artillery. But what I didn't know is that there's a massive attack of armoured vehicles coming towards me. We have a first wave of T-72s and T-62s and T-72Bs. So, oh, my bad. We've got some anti-tank vehicles and a T-62 and T-72. And behind that, pretty much another wave of tanks. So my Challenger 2 gets in position here, takes out one of the anti-tanks already, as you just saw there. Engaged, taken 1 hit. Took 1 big hit from one of the tanks. We've got 4 tanks still alive. And I've only lost 2 bits of armour, which is fantastic. So I'm holding them off, get hit by another anti-tank missile. That's 2 now. Got hit by 2 anti-tank missiles. Here goes number 3, 4. My tank is taking a lot of damage. 4, 5, Another 5. He's holding off though. 5. Now I decide to back off. I'm going to lose my Challenger, but it takes another 6, 7. It takes another 7 anti-tank rockets to kill me. My tank has held off 3 armoured vehicles on its own against a massive army, more or less backing it up. If I had, let's say, a Challenger 2 here, Challenger 2 there, maybe another lighter tank and a bit of A covering it, I would, without a shadow of a doubt, won that sort of defensive position. But obviously, within this game, I wasn't able to get my men up to the front line quick enough. But that's just a few examples of how good the armour is on the Challenger 2. Yeah, I got wiped out twice, but it's taken so much for them. It's taken a while for them to engage. So if I put the Challenger 2 at the front for a target that people shoot, they're going to engage it. By the time they start engaging, I'll bring my air up and they'll take out the aircraft. Bring my other tanks up. Basically, tanks on a tank basis probably wouldn't be able to take on a Challenger 2. Just the mere fact it takes 7 shots from an anti-tank to kill me. So basically, the Challenger 2 is an absolutely fantastic vehicle in game and out of the game. So it is definitely a tank to get. You should definitely look at getting it.